And
Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to
something else.
something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matara, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to something else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
And welcome to episode number 255 of Something Else. Feast your heroes in this week's episode as we take a look at Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from December 22nd, 1984. My name is Arya, and joining me as always, is, I don't know. I don't fucking know, is the Billy Jerk Haynes to my Rippler Crip Oliver. It's Trey. Trey, how the hell you doing today?
I'm trying to figure out why I'm with Sunshine. Nobody has explained this to me.
It quite possibly will never be explained. I have no fucking idea. Ladies and gentlemen, Sunshine is apparently the manager of Billy Jerk Haynes in World Class for some reason. My guess, and this is me not knowing what's going to happen, is that she's going to be, or yeah, that he's going to be feuding with Gino, maybe?
I God, I hope not.
I, I mean, we still have like 10 more months of Gino and Chris versus the Von Erichs, but this could break up the repetitiveness of that. Not saying that I'm begging for that match, but it would be something at
Yeah.
least.
Isn't there like a big
Uh,
feud with Sunshine and Jim Cornette?
I believe there is.
Yeah, I was thinking so.
And Jim Cornette is now in the territory for until I think it's July 1st is when he goes to Crockett with the Midnights. So
Yeah,
it,
I would really like to see the Midnight Express on television, please and thank you.
we may have to start watching NWA World Championship Wrestling when they jump over in July. Although
Probably be better than this show.
that more than likely, and they do actually get the TBS slot in April coming up. So you know, there's always that option. Although, do we really have
Oh,
the ability to squeeze that in? But
uh,
yeah, well,
yeah.
it's a debate to have over the next 4 months. You know,
Yeah.
but so by the way, happy Festivus for to those who celebrate. That's today, December 23rd. For those listening to this show. Happy holidays. We are on our holiday schedule where you're only going to get to listen to Trey and I once this week and once next week. I know you're all disappointed by this. And then we'll be back after the new year with our regular slate of scheduled shows. And if you're wondering why the hell we're doing this show and next week's show, blame Fritz and blame Bill for running actual shows this year. Although I guess Fritz was doing one last year because they always do the big Christmas show.
Are we gonna air our grievances?
Sure, go ahead, air your grievances.
World class sucks. It wasn't bad this week. It really wasn't.
No, it's the first at least televised tag team match of Gino and Chris.
Oh, was it? I did not put that together. Yeah, that was good. I mean, the finish wasn't good, but that's to be expected.
Um, well, they've had 6-man matches with
Yeah.
Jake, but this is their first 2-on-2 match anyway. Well,
Although I do have a grievance against putting fucking Rip Oliver and Iceman Parsons on my TV for 12 and a half fucking
oh,
minutes.
oh my God. That match is still going on to this day.
I believe you. I believe it.
That that match and that Jay White Daddy Ass match I was at in Worcester the one time. Those two matches are still going on to this day. I almost am
Uh,
tempted to go back and rewatch that Jay White Daddy Ass match just to see A, how long it was on television, and B, if it's as bad as I remember it was, because it was fucking bad watching it live. And
I don't know. I remember that match and it wasn't good, but I don't know. It didn't punch my mother in the face the way that some people are acting like it did.
to me,
See
it's
if I
because I
can.
was there live, so it's like at least, and
That yeah.
I, I know you watched the Fight TV version, but I mean, or the Triller, excuse me, the Triller version. But it's like to me, it's like I didn't have a 3 minute commercial break to avoid it for a while. But yeah, it that
But
was my vote for worst match of the year last year, and I don't think it came anywhere near the winner. I don't even remember who won last year.
I've been
Um,
having some software. We're trying to figure out some software changes, and I do not have the ability to easily look up the time of that match as I have in the it's very irritating.
by the way, you may need to
Uh,
cover your ears for a second, Trey, because I'm gonna throw some New Japan spoilers out there. My wrestling crush is going to Wrestle Kingdom. Uh, they just announced a new match for Wrestle Kingdom 20. ELP defends the TV title against Chris Brookes, and
oh,
I've I've long since had a bit of a crush on young Chris Brookes.
what date was that Jay White Daddy ass match? Can you remember?
It was the Wednesday before WrestleMania because I
So
went to so it was like April 2nd, 3rd,
April
2024.
3rd. Okay, they went 11 minutes and 41 seconds, and I rated
You,
that match a dud.
you broke up a little bit. How long was the match?
11 minutes and 41 seconds.
It felt longer. I'll be honest. It felt at least 15, 20. And you rated a dud. So, I mean, and, and I
Yeah,
mean, it's
and
like,
I
you tend to like more AEW stuff than I do. And I do obviously like AEW. It's Dynamite's the only show I regularly watch. But, if you're giving it a dud, that really tells you how great
that
it was.
that must have been bad because I am a Jay White supremacist.
Yeah. We discussed on this show. Oh Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time Trey and I really talked in a week. You might recall we've previously said how him and I talk like every day. Well, I've been busy, he's been busy, and we just haven't really talked. So,
Yeah,
you
we have
know,
not had time to banter in a bit.
yeah, so this may be one of the shows that goes like 5 hours and like 10 minutes of it is talking about the actual shows we're talking about. Andrade is apparently out of his WWE no compete.
Yeah,
Apparently,
good.
apparently Roosh knew somebody, and somebody I don't. Again, this is like one of those things, and I mentioned it. I forget who I mentioned it with before. I think it might have been the Andrade thing because he's been working a few spots all over the place recently, where it's like WWE cannot let those things go to court and be ruled against. Because the second a no compete gets ruled against, they're fucked. Their whole system is out the window because that's their whole matter of control.
So yeah, shout out to Roosh for knowing a lawyer who's experienced dealing with WWE's bullshit. Really, yeah, Andrade in New Japan. That gets a thumbs up for me. The first time that I ever saw Andrade was like 2013. It was when he won the IWGP Intercontinental title from Shinsuke Nakamura at Arena Mexico, and then did the rematch in Japan. And I think that was the first time I ever remember seeing La Sombra. And I'm like, and I said at the time, this guy is fucking fantastic. Why is like WWE not getting him to make him their Latino superstar?
Why are we getting asshole El Patron instead? Because
Yeah,
that's who was. Although I guess it was asshole Del Rio at the time.
yeah.
Um, by the way, I know we're like 8 minutes into the show now, but I totally didn't hold in the welcome uh, part of our episode long enough so I could look up what episode number this was because I completely forgot to look that up before the show. Um, Anywho, we might as well dive in here. Mid-South, December 22nd, 1984, 41 years and 1 day ago this week. Let's go to the intro with Boyd Pierce and Jim Ross. And we'll be back where I will tell you in capital letters my first question when I saw these two announcing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Mid-South Wrestling Television. I'm your host, Boyd Pierce, and we have a lot of exciting action signed by matchmaker Grizzly Smith. General Skandar Akbar sends the big man, the Ugandan warrior, the great Kamala, against Iceman King Parsons. Tag team action. Tim Horner joins forces with Terry Taylor against the rugged duo of Dr. Death Steve Williams and the TV champion Buddy Landell. North American heavyweight title holder Brad Armstrong is on the card, and another great tag team match sees the Alamo Busters from Mexico City, Hector and Chavo Guerrero, take on the All-American team of Hacksaw Butch Reed and Marine Private Terry Daniels. It looked like a lot of great, exciting action. The man will tell you about things to look forward to in the days to come, as well as things that have happened in a recent past. And to tell us about all these great matches, that silver-tongued, golden-throated commentator from Bixby, Oklahoma, my sidekick this week, Jim Ross. Jim?
Well, Boyd, thanks very much, and I appreciate that great introduction. You know, ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks ago, we want to talk about Kamala, and we have several events that we want to retrace. But first of all, I think, Boyd, we need to start at the origin. Where was Kamala discovered? We have some video on that. Let's go to that now and see exactly where Kamala came from.
All right. So the first thing I said when Boyd and JR were on my screen was, "Who is the ring announcer? Is Reeser back?" But no.
Alas, no such luck.
We cannot have nice things. And not that I'm dying for them to be here, but where the hell is Bill and Joel?
On Christmas vacation.
That's like my best guess. But
they and Bill Mercer are in the Bahamas.
That somewhat makes sense. Maybe Fritz is there too. We haven't seen Fritz on the show in a while. Ever since he was allegedly standing backstage at the Cotton Bowl, ready to beat up Gino Hernandez. Or was it Gino or whoever it was he was going to beat up if they interfered in a match?
Gary Hart, probably, I guess.
Probably. He had a better shot against Gino, I think. So, what becomes a running joke, at least for me during the show, Boyd Pierce cannot say ice at all. Here he calls him the Ashman King Parsons. And later on, he keeps calling him the Ass Man King Parsons. And
honestly, Billy Gunn's "I'm an Ass Man" theme would have been better than "We Are Family."
We are family. Hey, hey, hey. So don't ask me why. I think I was watching something else on Peacock, and I didn't feel like loading up my Xbox where I have my flash drive with all the shows on it. I first watched this show on Peacock, and then my plan was to go back and see whatever I missed. And believe it or not, Peacock, outside of the music, of course, but Peacock didn't really edit anything out this week.
They edited out the whole fucking entrances for Kamala and Iceman.
No, they didn't edit that out because they did have that in. They edited out I think it was the tag match.
Yeah, for some reason.
One of the matches.
It was the
Alamo
Guerreros.
Busters.
It was the Guerreros. Yeah, you're right.
I like that apparently you also watched this on Peacock.
I didn't. I don't even have Peacock anymore.
Then how the hell do you know that? You're like literally telling me what I missed, what I was lying about here.
Well, you should know. Okay, the version that I watch is the restored version, and when the original footage is missing from the network, the original like VHS quality footage is spliced in, and there's a very obvious difference.
The funny thing is, it's like that's the only version I have is a VHS version outside of the one that it has on Peacock. I'm not sure why. I think it was like just file size. I'd rather have had the smaller versions. By the ECW shows, though, I do have the restored versions, which are always nice. Um, and they're similarly way where it's like, oh, here's HD footage, and then oh, they're plugging the hardcore hotlines, and now we're going to 25-year-old VHS videotape footage of Joey plugging what we're going to hear tonight, what WWF superstar has walked out on Monday Night Raw this week or something.
Was it Shawn Michaels? I assume it was Shawn
Probably.
Michaels.
Probably.
So the Kamala video, I actually don't know, and I was going to ask, was this like the original Memphis Kamala intro
Yes.
VTR?
Yes, this is the video we've seen on this show like a dozen times already with I don't know who the guy is that they got to voice over this from Jerry Jarrett's backyard. Kamala, 6 foot 9 inches tall. Kamala, 385 pounds. Kamala, the Ugandan giant.
I've told the story, or I've relayed the story before that Lawler would do the painting, like the moon and stuff, on Kamala's belly. And one day, Kamala asked him, "Mr. Lawler, why you draw that banana on my belly?"
Oh, that was always tremendous.
Okay, one of the greatest like William Regal reactions of all time. You remember WrestleMania 17? He wants me to rub the moons on his belly.
Yes. Oh my God. William Regal, I know we haven't actually watched any of Mr. Regal here on the show, but we need to induct him into the Something Else Hall of Something Else.
Just on
Like,
principle.
on principle and for excellence in being William Regal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
William Regal inducted December 22, 2025
Our
for
first
excellence in
our first in absentia induction.
Maybe we need to watch NXT Redemption. He
Oh,
was he was the color commentator for that show.
I've had the idea that
Maybe,
maybe after we finish Smoky Mountain, maybe we do some shorter chunks of like finite things. And I don't know,
okay.
but I don't know if I want to do NXT Redemption. We'll talk about it.
I know I want to do Lucha Underground at some point, and I think that would be like, even though they're not lined up at the same time, I think there'll be an interesting back and forth to see which is zanier. Although NXT Redemption doesn't get really zany until about halfway through, because it started like every other NXT season up to that point. And then it was like 15, 20 episodes in where they were down to Titus O'Neil, Darren Young, and Derek Bateman. They just said fuck it and turned NXT into its own mini universe. And that's when the Usos were on. That's where we had Tyler Rex and Kurt Hawkins. That's when Maxine came in as the slut of the century because she slept with two guys. That's when Dirty Curdy was there. That's when NXT was the greatest show in the world. And I still remember to this day that my argument as to why the show was so great and why it was okay that it was so absurd was because there's never going to be an NXT champion and they're never going to do NXT pay-per-views. So who cares if this show on the internet is a little goofy? Little did I know what the future was going to be in store for us.
Yeah. I've actually like never watched more than like an episode of Lucha Underground, so that would be that can be fruitful.
I think they only have like 90 or so episodes.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Sydney and I can make it through fucking TNA, I mean, I think we can get through this.
But I get like there's like there is a short-lived like Arkansas promotion called I think IPW from like 1990 that there's a few episodes of that I think would be entertaining to do. And then what did that find was like that World Organization Wrestling from like Pensacola in around 90 with like Hollywood Bob Holly and shit. I found that recently. So I don't know, but we've got another year and 3-4 months of Smoky Mountain left to think about it.
Yep. So around the same time, we're going to be ending Smoky Mountain. Gino dies, and Mid South becomes the UWF.
That's a lot. A lot at
Yes.
once.
And that feels like it's so far away too, but at the same time, it feels like Smoky Mountain is almost over. Um, by the way, we got footage of Kamala's re-debut attacking Butch Reed and then attacking Magnum TA last week. We were told that Magnum TA has received internal injuries and is sidelined at this point. I didn't actually look, but I don't think he even comes back as a one-off, at least until actually he doesn't come off as a one-off at all because whatchamacallit, he ends his career in before they buy the UWF.
Yeah, I don't believe that he is ever back in Mid South. He's like I said, he's starting at Christmas. He's in Crockett.
Yep. So normally I would just skip this next piece of audio because after they show the replay of the finish of last week's match with the Rock and Rolls and Dr. Death and Hercules, they go back to the desk where Boyd just basically pitches it to commercial. But suddenly Boyd Pierce is no longer holly and jolly. So I want to play that and wonder what the fuck is going on with poor Boyd Pierce here.
Wrestling fans, we want to tell you something. Mid-South Wrestling has ordered a return match this week because of the situation that has arisen and because more Dream Match Mail has requested this match than all the other bouts combined. So therefore, we'll be back in just a moment after this important message with the Rock and Roll Express in a tag team match versus Ted DiBiase and Sheik Hercules. So stay with us. We'll be back after this important message.
Was Bill off to the side of the camera threatening to kill his cat or something?
I don't know. Poor
Like
Boyd.
Like Boyd suddenly, like the worst moment of Boyd's life was having to come back and tell us we're having a return match this week.
Well, it was such a tragic thing that Ricky Morton got posted. By the way, so I have several problems with this. Number one, the fucking dream match. Like we're supposed to believe that suddenly this fucking thing got more dream match votes than every other match combined.
I mean, I'm almost willing to give it a free pass just because at least this case, it's a feud that had been going on, and this wasn't an hour after the most recent angle got taped. So it's like it conceivably, I'm sure people did send in cards and letters voting for this match.
Okay, well let's move past that then. Why the fuck was this a non-title match? Even though the Rock and Roll Express won if the Rock and Roll Express win, they get a title shot match last week.
Because those cards and letters didn't specify a title match.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
So we go to our opening match, which is the tag team champions Ted DiBiase and Sheik Hercules Hernandez with General Skandor Akbar versus the fantastic and fabulous Rock and Roll Express in a non-title dream match. Now, we did not get Reeser Bowden on commentary or on ring announcing, sadly. Instead, we got Jack Curtis. And not just Jack Curtis, we got Jack Curtis wearing a hat.
A hat, indeed.
Why was this man wearing a hat?
What do you have against hats?
Do you remember the story of Jim Cornette towards the end in OVW? There was a live event where Kevin Thorn wore a hat and Cornette lost his shit over it, like to the ring. He didn't just wear it like backstage. He wore it to the ring. And Cornette lost his shit about it. For some reason, that's what I was thinking here while Jack Curtis was wearing a hat. And how, wow, it's lucky Cornette's out of the territory. He'd be throwing a conniption backstage.
Well, at least, I don't know, is the idea that a vampire can't wear hats?
Well, I think this was before he was a vampire. This was when he was 7. Or was that Tomko? One was 7.
No, Tomko was
Bane.
Bane. Tomko was Bane.
Yep. So I don't think 7 was supposed to be a vampire. I think it's just, I never actually saw any OVW, but I specifically never saw that era, so I don't I imagine he was some sort of goth occult type person because he was managed by Sin.
What kind of hat was it? I need to know more details.
I don't remember because it was around the same time that he lost his shit about the Dudley Boys putting Jillian through a table that time, and that's how he got suspended for 30 days. And then he came back and slapped the shit out of Santino.
Uh, Kind of feels like he was. It was just something was going to give at around that time. It was. He had been in that system for too long.
Exactly. If Santino wouldn't have laughed at the boogeyman, something else would have happened because he was already gone to the world, you know.
Yeah.
So JR tells us that Hercules is one of the top men in wrestling. I hear Shawn Michaels is one of the bottom men in wrestling. Um, JR then tells us that Ricky Morton never quits. Has anyone booked him against Gunther, against Walter, maybe? You know, he tends to make people who never quit with a
At least,
smile on their face.
you think Ricky would smile if Gunther put him to sleep?
I don't know. I always want to smile whenever I see Marina Shafir giving people her version of the choke out.
Mother's milk.
Is that really what it's called? I heard somebody
Yeah,
say that the other day, and I'm like, they didn't just say what I thought they just said. It may have been Excalibur.
that's what it's called. It's been called that on commentary many times.
Shows you how much I pay attention to Marina Shafir matches.
Well, she didn't have any matches for like fucking a really long time, and then it was more like she was like a dark rampage type. And then
I,
now that she's wrestling again, like I am still behind, but
I
yeah,
just
like
remember
I
the
did
first
see
time
her do it once, and they called it Mother's Milk.
I just remember the first time I saw her do it was to Jay White, and Jay White has never looked so, pain free in his life. It's like I'm very comfortable right here. Um, Poor Jay White. We're really ripping Jay White over the coals here this week, I guess.
Is he back?
Oh, is that?
Is he back?
No.
Oh, okay. So you
Um,
saw him do it. You
no.
saw her do
Yeah.
it to Jay White before.
Oh, yeah. This was like last year when they're building to the four-way at World's End, I think, with Jay White, Orange Cassidy, and somebody else against Moxley.
I can't believe
Um,
I can't offhand remember who the somebody else was.
Maybe Darby All In, but that I'm
No,
not sure
because
about.
he was in. He had been in
Nope.
the. He had been in the Continental Classic.
Well, also he got kicked down the steps when John Moxley canceled Rampage.
I miss Rampage. Where else are you going to get a 10-minute Mark Briscoe the Butcher match? Adam Page, Jay White, Orange Cassidy, Adam Page, and John Moxley.
That makes sense. By the
Sorry,
way,
Hangman.
did you see? And I mean, you're 2 months behind, but did you see they brought Dark back for one night only?
Yes, I have learned about that. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know.
Well, hopefully he can get caught up. By the way, since I was going to wait till the end of this match since we brought it up, but hey, since we're already mid-topic, I love you, Dave Meltzer. I think you're a good guy. We have our fight one time a year, and I have a feeling if I tweeted you, this would have been our yearly fight, but I just didn't bother. Dave posted the spoilers from Dynamite and Collision prominently in the daily update yesterday. And so even though I was trying to avoid everything like the plague, I know how the rest of the Continental Classic plays out. Um, and to be honest, I'm I doubt I'm gonna watch it now. But can I just say I know it's not my website, obviously. And I'm not gonna tell Dave what to do. But the fact that like the spoilers were at the top of the daily update instead of the bottom really pissed me off.
Uh, Valid.
Also, with that said, I would like to say, and I forget if I told you who I think is going to win, but the person who I think is going to win since the beginning is in very good position to win.
Okay,
That's all I'm going to say.
I have a prediction, and it may be,
Okay.
I don't know. This is really stupid because I haven't even seen how the tournament is
C2.
going.
Hmm.
Yeah, but okay, I think that the final ends up being Takeshita and Okada, and then whatever they do, and then at the end of Wrestle Kingdom, they're going to set up a rematch between Takeshita and Okada for New Japan.
I was gonna say, do you even know who's in the C2? But I mean, you have given me two people who are in the tournament. So
More or less. I don't have it memorized, but I do know that that part was correct, and I assume like I don't I can only assume Takeshita hasn't been pinned
I cannot confirm
for
or deny that.
political reasons. But who
I
knows?
mean, we can hazard a guess at that one. But yeah. So by the way, back to the speaking of things that are not Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita, back to DiBiase and Sheik versus the Rock and Roll Express. Which, by the way, of all the matches we could be segueing back to, there's a lot worse matches.
This was
Um,
good. This was quite
yeah,
good. This was fucking yeah. And you know what? Like so. I guess in theory Hercules is like the odd man out, but like Hercules is good here. He's fucking working his ass off.
yeah. And honestly, this is how you improve. Like, when you're a a more limited worker like Hercules is and was, it's like you improve by working with really good workers like Ted DiBiase and the Rock and Roll Express. And obviously Hercules never ends up being this great worker or anything, but I'd say he's definitely better than he was when he joined the territory originally.
Oh yeah, he was very green.
So DiBiase goes for the glove, but it got blocked, and Rock and Roll smashed DiBiase's hand into the turnbuckle. Morton got thrown into referee Carl Fergie. Hercules chokes out Morton with his turban, which transitioned into the Shinnomaki. Emphasis on the Shinnomaki, by the way. And Fergie woke up, declared Morton unconscious. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're sitting down for this. We got a finish in a dream match. You
When
can
it,
argue it was not a clean finish by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a finish.
when I saw Hernandez do the Shinnomaki, I wondered if the reason I hadn't heard from you much this week is because you had an apoplexy of some sort.
No, it's the funny thing is like I know my episode title idea was from Mid South this week, and I'm looking through this and I cannot figure out what I wanted the episode title to be. Because for some reason I didn't actually write it down. Maybe it was
Maybe
something
it'll.
about King Parsons. But
It's not that it takes us 32 minutes to get to the end of the first match.
no, nothing like that. Um, anyway, Boyd tells us that the ass man King Parsons is next. I want to bring in Boyd to if Boyd was still alive, I'd want to book him to be on this show just to have him say ice over and over again, just for our amusement.
Just get him to. You remember when Lance like read off the lyrics to "Man Called Sting"? I want to do that with
Yes.
Boyd and Ice Ice Baby.
Ass, baby. We then get Kamala with Friday and General Skandor Akbar versus Assman King Parsons, which ultimately may be why we're getting Jack Curtis doing ring announcing this week instead of Boyd, because Jack Curtis at least know how to say the word ice. Um, Now, do you remember last week when Kamala got disqualified for using a splash to the back? He was
Yeah.
not disqualified this week as he actually won with that move. Um, After the match, Akbar put his foot on the ass man and cut a promo on the baby faces until the ass man fired up on Akbar. Kamala then beat his ass some more until the baby faces, capital T, capital B, made the save.
World class ass fucking TV match.
If this was a world class match, it would have gone 12 minutes.
That's true. The Iceman
No,
deserved to lose. You turned your fucking back on Kamala to look at Admiral Akbar, and you get what you deserve.
yes, yes. And at least, hey, even though it's not the storyline in Mid-South, it makes sense to us anyway that Iceman is here to feud with Akbar.
Sure.
He's been feuding with Akbar for months.
Well, just hope he leaves his pedophile friend in Texas.
Let's hope pedophile friend got lost somewhere en route to the next town.
Buxumhoff died on the way back to his home planet.
Oh, gotta love that episode of The Simpsons. Ooh, when did you stop watching The Simpsons? Like semi-regularly?
Uh, fuck.
Let me just
Later than is reasonable.
Okay, did you ever see the Lady Gaga episode of The Simpsons?
Not that I remember.
I keep seeing that coming up lately in like worst episodes of television ever. And maybe it's because I haven't watched it since it first aired. And maybe it's because I had low expectations because I'm not a Lady Gaga fan. But I liked that episode of The Simpsons with Lady Gaga in it. It's like where she inspired Lisa, or whatever.
Look, I didn't stop watching The Simpsons for any ideological reason. I just like I got rid of cable, so then like the Fox animation domination was no longer a part of my life. And then
Mhm.
like I still like I would still I don't have Hulu
Yeah.
now anymore, but like I would still use Hulu to watch Family Guy, but I haven't watched Simpsons in a while.
Like when FX used to do the Every Simpsons Ever marathon once a year, I would DVR every episode and watch it, which just tells you what my life was for a week because that filled up the DVR really quickly, and I had to delete stuff as quickly as possible. But yeah, um, but yeah, it was probably honestly, it was probably during the pandemic when I stopped, watching frequently anyway.
I remember the first time they did the Every Simpsons Ever that we just kind of watched it all and on, off and on for like I remember like my wife and I were watching it, and then one of us left town for a few days and came back, and the other one was still watching it. That's how long it went on.
I remember, and this is, one of those. I mean, I'm guessing it's one of the wacky coincidences ever, but FX did their Every Simpsons Ever marathon, which led to Up TV doing their Every Gilmore Girls Ever episode. It was Gilmore The Merrier, and like they always seem to run back to back. So I'd watch Every Simpsons Ever and then every Gilmore Girls episode ever.
That's a pretty fulfilling time block there.
Yes, it was. And the funny thing is, it's like Up TV is very sensitive. At least they were at the time, where like you couldn't say the word ass, and it never occurred to me how often Gilmore Girls said ass because it was getting muted. It felt like a dozen times an episode, and it was always ass. In other words,
Sad.
Mid South could not air on Up TV because they would not know what to do with King Parsons here. Uh,
Yeah, no.
Champion of Television, Nature Boy Buddy Landale, and the Dr. Death helmet holder, Dr. Death Steve Williams, versus the popular duo of Terry Taylor, who is a bitch, a stooge, and a degent, and White Lightning, Tim Horner. So Boyd calls them a popular duo, and then JR says it's the first time they've ever teamed. So maybe they're popular separately, but how do we know that they're going to be a popular duo?
Didn't they team like a week or two ago, or was it somebody else? Who am I thinking of?
I don't know. It's like they don't really have regular teams outside of like, the Rock and Roll Express are a regular team, and the Midnight Express was, and the Fantastics were. But it's like for the most part, it's just like, hey, let's put two singles wrestlers together who are both baby faces or both heels.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so anyway, Doc pinned Horner with the Oklahoma Stampede, decreasing Horner's Mid-South popularity rating from a 54 to a 52.
Oh,
I thought you'd pop for the TEW reference.
I'm sorry, I missed that part.
Any thoughts about this match?
It was pretty good. Doc pinned Horner, as is correct.
Probably shouldn't be that surprised that it was a very clean finish. I think I was just more surprised because Terry Taylor is in there, and even though he is a bitch, a stooge, and a degens, he is a fairly protected babyface. And I know, like I said, he didn't do the job here, but I wasn't expecting it to be an out and out pinfall here.
Well, that's what Tim Horner is there for.
Yes, it is. Why Latin? Even though I don't know if they're partners yet, but his future tag team partner, Brad Armstrong, is the North American champion. And
Ah,
the
yeah.
one of the reasons why Jim Cornette gave Tim Horner more rope than he probably should have been allowed at Smoky Mountain was because of the Armstrong's friendship with Tim Horner.
Yeah, perhaps. Perhaps.
Yeah. Uh, and believe me, come in like 6 to 8 months or so in Smoky Mountain, and when you see who gets brought into the territory out of friendship to one of the pushed wrestlers, you'll be begging for Horner to be back.
Oh God.
Yes, yes. North American champion Brad Armstrong from Marietta, Georgia versus Dale VC. VC is from Atlanta, and Jack Curtis had no problem saying Georgia the first time, but he sure did the second time. And Armstrong won with a sleeper. It's not even the side Russian leg sweep, the sleeper hold.
The Russian foot sweep.
Exactly. And this is where I noted that Boyd's cat must be okay because he sent us back to commercial, and he was back to being exciting Boyd Pierce.
If my cat was ill, I would be inconsolable.
Well, if Bill Watts was standing off camera threatening to kill your cat, how would you react?
I would step up and kill Bill Watts and protect my cat.
I want to go to there. I want to see you do that.
Well, as soon as we get the time machine sorted, we can make that happen.
Bill Watts is still alive.
I just can't imagine a situation where he would be threatening my cat if I wasn't announcing Mid South Wrestling.
Okay, so we get the temporal time machine. You're going back to take Boyd Pierce's job.
I'm gonna go back to Ask Boyd where he gets his suits.
I could swear they said it at one point, although it may have just been that Bill was talking about how loud his suits were. But I could swear they did tell us early on. So Butch Reed and Private Terry Daniels versus the Alamo Busters. We're informed that Reed really appreciates the fans being behind him these last few weeks because he's a babyface now. Classic claims that Reed pulled his hair and his tights, and I popped myself thinking about a singles match between Butch Reed and Chavo Guerrero, where Chavo spends the entire match pantomiming what Butch Reed is doing to break the rules. Like, what if Reed punches Chavo, and so Chavo insinuates that Reed pulled the chain out of his tights, wrapped his hand with it, and punched him?
Uh, that would be very entertaining.
Okay, so then maybe I was the only person who found that funny. So the finish saw Doc run down, and at first he gets knocked off the apron, and then Reed threw Doc into the post. Bad day to be Dr. Death. The Mexican Guerreros then randomly began using their bandoleros on Corporal Private Daniels for the DQ. Yes, they call them Corporal Daniels before fixing themselves.
I didn't even catch that part. Probably for the best.
Yep. So yeah, Chavo and Hector protected here in the finish. Because even though Privateer Daniels is going to be here for a while and the Alamo Busters are not, they could not do a job we can have two people on the same show do a job to the Shinnomaki. Because, yes, not only was Terry Daniels and Hercules both wrestling on this show, not only did Hercules win the match with the Shinnomaki, they again did not even mention the fact that they both used the exact same move.
I wonder, could we create like an entire army hierarchy just out of wrestlers? Let's see, we got Private Terry Daniels, Corporal Kirshner, Sergeant Slaughter, Lieutenant Loco, Captain Sean Dean, Major,
Major Guns,
Major Guns,
a
uh,
general erection,
Colonel James
uh,
H. McLaughlin for shout out
Lu-
to Carl Stern, and
Lieutenant Loco,
I said Lieutenant Loco.
Corporal Cajun, Major Stash, um, oh my God,
I
what
can't. The only one I can't think of. I don't think there's been a wrestling lieutenant colonel.
no, what was Borzukov's name? Private Jim Nelson.
Uh, yes.
Yes. So now, keep in mind, I do not know my military ranks. I'm not Van Hammer. So who would be the highest ranked person? General Rection, or like I don't know, Corporal Kirshner? I,
No, a corporal does not outrank a general. No, a general is the highest rank. And there are different grades of general, but general is the top. Except for in some countries, they have a rank higher than general of field marshal.
okay. I just know that Captain is lower than Major because Van Hammer made a stink about why would he be listening to a captain, and that's how Hugh Morris got a promotion.
Yeah, but I think General Skandar Akbar would have seniority over General Rection.
But I would think General Skandar Akbar would be retired at this point. Though I guess if we were gonna base on that, we'd have a lot of issues with our wrestling military. I just like that Van Hammer was so fucking paranoid about that shit.
And Private Stash is actually funny,
But he was the lowest ranked member of the Misfits in Action.
as he should have been. He was the worst wrestler, and I'm including Tylene Buck.
That was always like the funniest story, like of all the fucking things to get upset about. And like Vince Russo, as we've learned with Lance Storm, when Lance Storm was pushing for certain things with Team Canada, it's like Russo will at least discuss it with you, and especially if you're insistent upon something, he will let you have your way. Because like I think whatchamacallit, Russo wanted them to be the Canadian World Organization because Lance was stupid and didn't know what the New World Order was. And Lance pushed and fought for Team Canada and won. And so something tells me like A, like Russo, this was a fight with him and Russo, and B, Russo did not fucking care enough to fucking fight this one. It's like, okay, whatever, bro. And it's like because like at the time, this is when like Luger was arguing with him about everything. It's when Miss Elizabeth was arguing with everything. It's when Hogan was arguing with everything. It's like, when you're dealing with fucking Hogan, Luger, and all the top stars, and fucking Van Hammer comes in and argues with you, it's like, whatever the fuck you want, dude. Just shut up.
Yeah, fair enough. Nobody wants to talk to Van Hammer.
I mean, I don't want to talk to. I have no problem with people looking to Van Hammer, but it's like, you suddenly realize why Bischoff spent all of his time dealing with the big stars and not so much about the rank and file.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Suddenly, and I finally remembered the name of this episode. Suddenly, the words "Hacksaw Butch Reed is special" appeared on my screen.
Yeah,
And
we had new chirons.
yes, they sent us the commercial telling us that Hacksaw Butch Reed is special. Um, yeah, and I had to laugh. We came back, and JR recap this week's episode, and we got on-screen graphics telling us that a bunch of people would be wrestling next week. Now,
Boy, did we.
the funny thing is, we did find out why Butch Reed was special, and that was because Joel put together a music video for him that aired with the opening or the closing credits rolling over it. And my thought is that still doesn't prove to me how Butch Reed is special, because Joel Watts does a music video for everybody.
Well, only the special people. So Tim Horner hasn't got a video.
Who isn't Tim Horner?
Private Terry Daniels doesn't have a video.
Well, Terry Daniels has been here 2 weeks. You give him long enough, I bet Terry Daniels will have a video for him before Tim Horner does.
You think so?
I think Terry Daniels was here for a year, so I think so.
He's so weird, standing there in his little uniform.
And it's hilarious because unlike like Sergeant Slaughter did not come out in a military uniform, and all these other people didn't come out in military uniforms. Like, it's making me think that Terry Daniels legitimately was a private, and this is legitimately his military uniform. It's like, dude, give yourself a promotion. You're probably not going back to the military at this point. Give yourself a promotion, call yourself something better than private, because even me, who knows nothing about military rankings, knows that private is as low as you can go.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to go look at something real quick while we continue talking. I may come back to Private Terry Daniels in a few minutes as we get into the World Mid-South review.
Oh, we finished the Mid-South review because that was the end of the show. I didn't even write down who's going to be wrestling next week because they didn't plug like a main event match. They just said a whole bunch of people would be wrestling. So whatever.
Yeah,
it's probably the same. It's probably the same people who wrestled this week, just wrestling different matches.
I think that's a fair prediction.
All right. So while Trey looks up whatever he's going to look up, I'm going to play the intro of World Class, featuring, unfortunately, not Bill Mercer. Let's go to not Bill Mercer right now.
This is World Class Championship Wrestling from the world-famous Sportatorium in Dallas, Texas. Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Lowrance, standing in for Bill Mercer tonight. Great to have you with us, as during the next hour, you're going to see our sensational main event, featuring Kerry and Kevin Von Erich against Gentleman Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez. This is just a part of the action. Our first bout is also a great one, as the crippler Rip Oliver makes his Sportatorium debut, facing Iceman King Parsons. We'll have these bouts and much, much more. Stay with us. We'll be right back with World Class Championship Wrestling.
So, I know we always call him Drunk Mark Lowrance. I don't think booze was what Drunk Mark Lowrance was into this week. Looking at his eyes look completely glazed over. His arm was shaking, holding the microphone. I think, to quote the Iron Sheik, somebody shared their medicine with Drunk Mark Lowrance this week.
Yeah, and funny enough, the very first podcast that I did with you was that one random week that Bill Mercer was gone and Drunk Mark Lowrance was the commentator. So, kind of a full circle moment.
Wow, and somehow you stuck around for week 2. Maybe that's why, because like he probably did 2 weeks, because as we know, they tape 2 shows out of one Sportatorium show, and that might explain why week 3 is when you really came out of your shell, because Bill Mercer was here instead of Drunk Mark Lowrance.
Perhaps. I have confirmed my suspicion.
Which is?
Private Terry Daniels, his Marine Corps uniform, has a fucking corporal's insignia.
So Private Terry Daniels is apparently really a corporal, and he is degrading himself for this. He's downgrading himself.
I think this is a violation of the Stolen Valor Act.
I don't know, like, from what you can see, is he even a legitimate military member?
I have not been able to find anything about Terry Daniels. I did not look that hard.
Okay. So maybe that explains why they call him Corporal Private Terry Daniels. Because Boyd may have recognized the insignia on his outfit.
There's nothing on there's nothing on his Wikipedia page about him being in the military.
God damn it! When the always reliable Wikipedia doesn't list something, there's something there. Wow, that thought really
Yeah,
went away from me right there, didn't
and
it?
I don't know, but a man of Boyd Pierce's years, he may very well have served in the military, and yeah, probably would have noticed.
Uh, we'll see how things progress as the weeks and months go on. Now, I don't remember exactly how Private Terry Daniels became a thing. Well, they said he's part of Sergeant Slaughter's Cobra Corps, so that's probably it. But at the same time, why can't he just give himself a promotion now? Like Sergeant Slaughter is not coming into the territory, so it's not like, oh man, if we got to keep Private Terry Daniels at a low ranking because Sergeant Slaughter is going to come in, and we don't want him to be above you know a corporal or whatever. I don't know. Is corporal higher than sergeant? I don't know.
No,
It
corporal
sounds like
is
it should be.
no corporal is so it's private and then corporal and then sergeant, and there are
So
like there are depending on the branch of service, there are some slight variation. It's like in the army, and pretty much and the Marine Corps as well. It's private and then private first class, and then corporal. So a private is one stripe, a corporal is two stripes, and then a sergeant is three stripes. And there are several variations of sergeant because
so what you're telling me is there's legitimately no reason why Private Terry Daniels can't be Corporal Terry Daniels.
that is correct.
So, by the way, the only reason why I know that there's a thing called private first class, or at least the how I found out, was do you remember that awful Pauly Shore movie In the Army Now?
Yes, I do.
In their gang of four misfits, Pauly Shore ended up being private first class for some reason. I think because he did all those push-ups, when he pissed off his sergeant and he got promoted because of it somehow.
I saw that movie. It has to be at least 30 years since I've seen that movie.
I just watched not In the Army Now, Renaissance Man with Danny DeVito. That was really good.
I feel like I've seen that at some point, but I do not remember it.
It's got Stacey Dash in it. Basically, Danny DeVito was unemployed and needs to get a job, so he gets hired by the army to come in as a civilian and teach English.
Oh,
And it's fun. You know, for
I,
58 minutes in,
my little used these days Twitter account. I've just tweeted a photograph of Private Terry Daniels and his corporal chevrons.
by the way, this is more interesting than Rippler Crip Oliver versus the Ass Man King Parsons.
Yeah, whatever we could talk about Private Terry Daniels for 12 minutes, and it would be more entertaining than watching King Parsons and Rip Oliver wrestle for 12 minutes.
Yes. Now, I've got very little exposure to Rip Oliver as a wrestler. Like, I think he was the replacement for Johnny Ace as the Sheepherders flag bearer in Jim Crockett for a while there. But
I think
it's
so.
like I don't remember him wrestling. So it's like this was really my first real exposure to him as a wrestler. And yeah, I am ready for him to leave the territory already.
Was he a
Um,
Portland guy? I feel like his
yeah,
name is primarily associated with Portland.
if he's not a Portland guy, there's somebody with a very similar name because that's all I could think of. Like
I have a
he was in
habit.
Port
of confusing in my mind Rip Oliver with Rip Rogers, and I know now Rip Rogers is much better.
Yes. When I first started watching New Japan, and this is not saying they look alike or anything, it took me forever to figure out the difference between Minoru Suzuki, Togi Makabe, and Tomohiro Ishii. I kept mixing the three of them up in my head.
Uh, it's funny.
Now, because Bill Mercer is apparently on vacation and DML is doing commentary, we had Ralph Pulley doing the ring introductions. And even though we've seen Ralph Pulley a number of times, and I think he does the Fort Worth show because DML does the PBP on there, he looked like a man who's never been in front of the camera before. He looked wide-eyed and just frightened, and while telling us how the excitement has already started.
Well, maybe Bill Watts was off screen threatening his cat.
Maybe Fritz was.
Maybe Fritz seems like the type.
Yeah. According to Drunk Mark Lowrance in his first lie of the night, he tells us that every bout this week is a main event. He then tells us that everyone has heard about the holiday wrestling Star Wars and knows that we're excited too. What holiday? We're in December. There's a lot of holidays in December. You know,
It's all of them. It's the Happy Holidays Star Wars.
there you go. So we get told, and if only I knew what was to come. We were told we're going to have a spectacular awards presentation this week. And Drunk Mark Lowrance had his book of adjectives out this week because everything was fabulous, fantastic, and spectacular. 5 minutes in, I was so excited by this match, I was Googling Rip Oliver to see if he ever broke the law. Apparently not.
Well, at least he's a law-abiding citizen.
Yes.
By the way,
we're
Rick
told that
Hazard. Rick Hazard got a new blue shirt. He wasn't wearing the white shirt anymore.
That's good. You know, it's good for our officials to generally be dressed the same. In 2 weeks, okay. So Drunk Mark Lowrance tells us that in 2 weeks, we'll have a sensational bout. One that will give you memories of the greatest bout of the year. Now, you might ask yourself, what match is he talking about? And even though you could probably make a very educated guess as to what match he's talking about, instead he tells us we'll find out more about this match next week. You can't just fucking tell us.
Well, that would you gotta have a reason to come back next week.
To find out what the match is the following week?
Yeah. There you go.
I guess if he tells us that in 2 weeks we're going to have Kerry Von Erich versus Ric Flair, spoiler alert, you might skip next week's show. And next week, I'm sure, oh boy, that's going to be a humdinger of a show, I bet.
Is that just Star Wars Reunion Arena? Is that Christmas?
I'm fairly certain it is, yeah. I wrote, how fucking long is the time limit of this match? I don't think Ralph Pulley told us. And then after approximately 37 minutes, the Ass Man won with a small package. And then after the match, the Rippler gave the Ass Man a shoulder breaker.
The longest 12 minutes, 27 seconds of my life.
Longer than Daddy Ass versus Jay White.
Yeah.
Now, if I had any technical prowess and I didn't think YouTube would just yank it right down, I would go and edit like the video on a split screen. One side being the Ass Man versus Rip Oliver, and the other side being the Ass Man versus Jay White, and let you, the viewer, figure out what match was worse. How ironic that we have the Ass Man in multiple bad matches here. All right. So up next, we have a very prestigious awards banquet that was held in the area. And we don't get told anything about it, but it's December. And if you're a longtime wrestling fan, you know what awards are coming out around now. So let's go to DML, who's going to send us to the very prestigious awards banquet that was held recently.
Earlier this week, a very prestigious awards banquet was held in the area, and world-class championship wrestling cameras were there. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for me to step to the podium tonight and represent world-class championship wrestling as a part of this gala award ceremony. As tonight we recognize not only talent, but we also recognize class, and those two must work together to be really successful in the business of professional wrestling. I'm going to introduce a man who is going to present 2 awards tonight. He is the senior editor of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, one of the premier wrestling publications in the world, certainly one of the finest. I know many of you have had copies in your hand just within the past few days and over the years. He's going to present 2 awards tonight. He's been working very hard with his co-workers to tabulate the votes that have been coming in over the past several weeks. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to present Mr. Bill Apter from Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here on this momentous occasion. The editors of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, as you know, every year put in our magazine a ballot for you fans to pick the winners in certain categories. The first category that I'd like to discuss today is Rookie of the Year. The Rookie of the Year plaque this year is being given to a man who was part of the 6-man tag team championship, a man who also won the American championship this year. Ladies and gentlemen, the plaque is here for the Rookie of the Year, and so is the man. Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to introduce and present the plaque to Mike Von Erich. Mike.
Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay. All right. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, everyone. This plaque here is always going to mean something very special to me, because the only other person in our family that has ever won the Rookie of the Year was my brother David. So thank you, Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and thank you, everyone that voted for me. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Editor-in-Chief Peter King, our other editors, Craig Peters, Stu Sachs, Joe Bua, have a meeting every year to determine who the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Man of the Year Special Editors Award will go to. This year we've picked a man who's a very charitable man, both inside and outside the ring. This man gave many, many hours to the Easter Seals Telethon. This man went to many, many hospitals just to get a little wink from a little kid and wink back and sign some autographs and put happiness into kids' lives. He's also been instrumental in youth groups all over the United States. The Man of the Year in our special edition of Pro Wrestling Illustrated, Kevin Von Erich. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Kevin Von Erich.
Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Especially the editors of Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. I do appreciate this, and maybe I ought to say that I really consider it an honor not only to be a professional wrestler, but to be kind of in the public eye like we are, having the opportunity to do the kind of things that we do. Once again, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. Thank you, World Class Wrestling, for being here and helping us pull this whole thing together. And I'd like to turn the microphone and the festivities back to Mark. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bill. It is, I know, an honor not only for the recipients of tonight's awards, but an honor for all of us to be a part of this. Kevin and Mike Von Erich, what a great job they've done and how bright the future is for both of them. And I guess it is fair to say that these recipients are just an example of how the world's greatest talent is right here, a part of world-class championship wrestling, which we can all be close to and be part of as it continues to excel in the world of professional wrestling around the world. Well, as for now, we have some delicious food about to be served, some good music, some dance, and a lot of fun. So enjoy it, and thank you for being with us.
So I was looking up who else won 1984 PWI Awards, and I'm picturing that Kerry Von Erich no-showed because he won Most Popular Wrestler of the Year. And so you would think they'd want to bring him up there to give him the award.
Do you think he could have given a worse speech than Kevin did?
The funny thing is, like, you know, it was probably like a special award they gave, but Kevin did not win the Editor's Award that year. The Editor's Award went to David. Maybe that's why Kevin gave such a bad thing, because he did not actually win that award. His dead brother did.
Poor Kevin.
By the way, they could have also recognized Billy Jerk Haynes, who was the Most Improved Wrestler of the Year. And by the way, speaking of our favorite military wrestlers, Sergeant Slaughter won the always weird Inspirational Wrestler of the Year award. There's always one that was like, how do you vote who is the most inspirational wrestler of the year?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So I have a feeling, just by listening to you, just kind of wanting to move on with your life, that you did not have the same thought I did. So they started talking about the Man of the Year award. I went to a very charitable man inside and outside the ring, and I wrote, "It's Fritz, isn't it?" But then he says this person goes to hospitals to wink at children and have them wink at him, and I'm like, Grizzly? So
it could have been Bug Zumhoff.
There you go. Maybe that's why Kevin is always there, because he's having to stop Bug Zumhoff. I just like that no matter how polluted I've made Trey's mind did not go there on his own when he saw that.
No, I'm not completely sullied.
I messaged him on Saturday when I watched the show, and I'm like, if hell is a real place, I'm going there for my immediate thought while watching this show.
Yeah.
Oh, God. So then we get Billy Jerk Haynes with Sunshine of all people versus Mr. Tony Falk, who was standing in the ring during the awards banquet and then throughout the commercial break that followed it.
Yes. That was, yeah.
Main event anywhere in the world. Drunk Mark Lowrance tells us that you can tell how successful Billy Jerk is by looking at his physique. And Billy Jerk won with the full Nelson.
Yeah. I have nothing further to say about this.
Now, admittedly, I haven't watched like a lot of 86 WWF, at least that intimately, but what was Hercules' finisher before the feud with Billy Jerk Haynes? Because the whole point was that Hercules didn't use the full Nelson until that feud began, and I could not tell you what the hell his finish was.
Well, the Shinnomaki, obviously. I have no idea if he ever did that in WWF.
It's actually funny because as a kid, for the longest time, I had no idea what the finish of the Sheik, Rattle, and Roll was, because all I ever had were the pay-per-view tapes, and on every pay-per-view, he'd do the Sheik, he'd do the Rattle, and then he'd get backdropped out of the Roll. And I had no idea what it was. And, well, a neck breaker, I guess, was just too fucking obvious.
Yeah.
All right. So in case we haven't seen enough King Parsons this week, or enough Drunk Mark Lowrance, Drunk Mark Lowrance has gone to ringside to interview the Iceman, or the Ass Man. And let's go to this promo where Ass Man is going to tell us to listen to him.
It's back with you here at the Sportatorium ringside with Iceman King Parsons. Ice, you won about fair and square, but crippler Rip Oliver's reputation came through after the bell.
You know, brother, I heard a lot about Rip Oliver, the crippler. But you know, I come down here for one reason tonight, and that's to wrestle, brother. The man got in the ring, and he stuck his hand out like a man. You understand what I'm saying? People, sisters and brothers, fans, listen to me. Just give me a couple minutes of your time, because what Ice is about to say is the gospel. Now, I stuck my hand out and shook his hand, so I figured, hey, well, we're going to have a good match, a scientific match down to earth. I beat the man fair and square. The man come over and shook my hand like a man. I smiled at him. I said, now, this is a real gentleman, baby. And what did he do? He took a cheap shot, you dig? He give me that shoulder, you dig? Hey, man, I'm lucky right now that he didn't break my shoulder. But, sucker, you tricked me once. That was your fault. You slicked me twice, then it's my fault. And mama didn't raise no fool, sucker. I want you again. I want you again. Can you dig it? Mercy!
Iceman, thank you. Iceman King Parsons, fool me once.
You know, it does make sense. We always talk about dumb baby faces. And so, like, why would he believe that, Rip Oliver's on the up and up? It does make sense because, Rip Oliver's new to the territory. You don't really know that he's, a bad guy and he's not to be trusted. So, yeah, the guy stuck his hand out to shake his hand after a hard-fought match. And so, yeah, Iceman Parsons, being a nice baby face that he is, a good guy that he is, of course he'd shake the guy's hand.
Yeah, good guy King Parsons.
Yes. Of course, he came back to bite him in the ass. Now, if, like, in the future, he would come on and, go to shake his hand again after what happened, then Iceman would be into the something else hall of this sucks.
Yeah. Give it time.
Yes. Iceman is an idiot sometimes, I guess. Oh, I forgot to actually play something here. I was going to play for Billy Jer.
I'm going to gut your bowels out.
What?
I'm going to gut your bowels out.
Gutting your bowels out.
Yes. By the way, shout out to Gilmore Girls, who, introduced me to that line while they were watching a Billy Jack movie. And I'm sure that's where the name Billy Jack Haynes comes from, at least the Billy Jack part of it. Because they didn't, by the way, they didn't call him Billy Jack Haynes. They just called him Billy Jack.
Yeah, he wasn't Billy Jack Haynes until WWF, was he?
He was.
Was he Billy Jack Haynes in Portland?
By the way, his name is William Albert Haynes, so it wasn't that far off. But let me see.
Billy Albert Haynes would have been a fantastic name.
Yes. So I mean, he was either Billy Jack or Billy Jack Haynes, at least according to the always reliable Wikipedia. He was also Black Blood in WCW, hailing from a little town in France. I forgot about that part.
I don't know enough about the Black Blood gimmick. Why was he from a little town in France?
I don't think that's ever explained. Just that's where Black Blood is from. Because that's where executioners wrestle or come from.
There is actually, like, I went down a Wikipedia rabbit hole one time when I found out that, like, this is gonna go down the rails because I don't know how much French history that Arya knows.
Not a whole lot.
But during the French Revolution, King Louis the 16th was executed by guillotine, and it was so bizarre for me to realize that the executioner who executed Louis the 16th was had been the royal executioner for like decades and had actually executed the guy who attempted to assassinate Louis the 15th. And then just the revolution happened and he just kept on being the government executioner.
Welcome to the revolution. This is probably the only podcast in history that turned from a discussion of French history to Adam Rose.
Whoa,
Um,
oh, whoa.
Today was apparently the anniversary of when Adam Rose turned on the bunny. And apparently this was one of those times they taped SmackDown a couple days before that week's episode of Raw. And that week's SmackDown talked about how Adam Rose beat up the bunny on Raw. And then Adam Rose beat up the bunny on Raw. And I posted, why didn't the bunny read the SmackDown spoilers? He could have saved himself a beating.
I was at a Raw where the bunny wrestled. And I don't
Wasn't it Justin Gabriel?
I believe it was Justin Gabriel a lot of the time. Am I making it up that it was Sami Zayn at least some of the time?
Maybe, I don't know.
I don't know.
Did they ever? I know that they were building to a match between Adam Rose and the Bunny. Did they ever actually have a match with those two?
I do not remember.
This is the longest anybody's talked about Adam Rose in years, by the way.
Arya, don't be a lemon, be a rosebud.
Oh my God. I'm going to throw something at you. By the way, here's maybe something. So Black Blood is the English translation of a 1935 French novel, which has been published in English under the titles Bitter Victory and Blood Dark. The novel is set in a provincial French town before World War I and is known for its exploration of psychological alienation and its prefiguration of existential literature. So it's possible that either Kevin Sullivan or Billy Jerk Haynes was aware of this at the time.
Okay, I was wondering who the fuck came up with that, but when you said Kevin Sullivan, yeah, I see that.
Yeah. I guess he was supposed to be in Kevin Sullivan's stable at the time, and he may have been, but the gimmick was so short-lived. Who fucking knows? And also, who fucking cares? But this is also, in addition to the most anyone's ever talked about Adam Rose in years, the most anyone's ever talked about Black Blood in years.
What a show.
The Von Erichs versus the dynamic duo with Gary Hart. The first time Chris and Gino have ever teamed, at least on this show. I wrote Gary had on his grandfather's sweater, but it's more like this is definitely a mafia sweater. You know,
a mafia sweater.
Like I don't know. Whenever you don't see them in suits, I always like see mafia people wearing sweaters.
Part of the Chicago mafia.
Yes, the mob. You know.
Oh, okay, we're airing grievances. I have a fucking Christmas related grievance, and it's against bad Home Alone fan theories from people who don't pay attention. And the connection is obviously
that there was an extra kid.
Well, no, okay. The connection is obviously Chicago mafia. There's a fan theory that Kevin's dad was like had mob connections, and that's stupid for a lot of reasons. But and I'm not even go down that. But here's the thing: people always bring up, well, what was Kevin's dad doing to afford a trip to Paris for 11 people? You know the problem with that, Arya? How many times have you seen Home Alone? Many, I'm sure, right? Great movie.
I've seen it probably hundreds of times, yeah.
In the first fucking scene of the movie, when Kevin's mom is talking to Harry when he's disguised as a cop, she says the brother in Paris paid for the trips.
Maybe they're because didn't his father pay for it the next year when they went to Miami? But at some point, whenever Kevin told off his uncle, and he said, "I don't want to ruin your fun, Mr. Cheapskate," because he says your father paid good money for this trip.
You're right. Maybe that was the second movie. Hopefully, yeah, because if it is in the first movie, that's going to be a big. I think that was in the second movie, though.
I think it would have had to been because they definitely wouldn't have been. Harry definitely would have been pretending to be a police officer in the second movie. He was definitely pretending in the.
Well, no, that was definitely in the first movie.
Yeah.
That part, yeah.
I just saw the one that there was an extra McAllister kid that was left home alone because the daughter that did the count counted herself twice.
Huh.
And Trae's either disappeared or we're having one of those weird technical issues where because suddenly I can't hear Trae.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what happened.
So yeah, the daughter who was counting everybody outside counted herself twice. I just saw that yesterday.
I think she was the niece. The one that counted was like the one who her parents were the ones in Paris, right?
I don't know. She was somebody's daughter.
This is the most Home Alone analysis you're ever going to get on a World Class Championship Wrestling review.
I think, like, we got to the good shit, and we're talking instead now about Home Alone.
Yeah, Kevin and Kerry against Gino and Chris was good until the Smosh finish.
Oh, because I talked about Gary Hart and his mob sweater.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Kevin really wanted Chris, but he did not get what he wants, even after Kerry gave Gino a shoot headbutt to the dick. When Adams did get in with Kerry, the pace was very frenetic. Kerry, I think, thinks wrestling is a shoot, and he was fighting for his life to tag out to his brother, and Chris had to grapple extensively to keep Kerry in the ring. Kevin did get the hot tag, but Chris had already tagged out. Kevin gave zero fucks as he went out of the ring to attack Chris, posting him, which should be a DQ. The match broke down into a four-way, which should be a DQ. Gino gave Kevin's dick a super kick, which should be a DQ. And eventually the match did get thrown out due to both teams being totally out of control. Bronco Lubitsch is not as biased as David Manning Von Erich. Even Uncle Gary took a punch during the post-match melee.
Very rude to kick people in the dick.
Yes, it is. We had two dick hits this week, although one was a shoot. Poor Gino.
I'm sorry. That was funny. That spot was very funny. Gino sold it great.
Yes. I don't want to say Kerry may have been on something, but it's like the way he was wrestling felt very much like Kerry was on something this week.
Kerry was all hyped up on Mountain Dew or something.
Yep. Speaking of which, that's what I'm drinking. The official drink of my end of the Something Else Podcasting Network. We haven't talked about what you've been drinking in a while. What are you drinking on your end of the world?
I got some lemonade Crystal Light.
Nice. Next week we have a big debut. Big John Tatum versus Mike Von Erich, along with Terry Gordy versus Max.
That'll be a Lulu.
I was about to say Terry Gordy versus Max is going to be a Lulu. But yeah. So World Class was not a terrible show this week, even with the 3-hour opening match.
That part of it was pretty rough.
Ignoring the first hour of the show, the last 20 minutes was pretty decent. Even the awards gala. It's always nice to get out of the sportatorium. We always say that.
Yeah, the dump.
Yeah. So that is that for World Class this week. Let's see. Sadly, there's nothing breaking right now to talk about. I've already bitched about Dave breaking Dave giving us spoilers. Javon Evans is officially on the main roster of WWE. He is a free agent that could sign with either Raw or SmackDown, continuing our theory that the brand extension is still a thing.
Silly nonsense.
Yeah. Apparently Daly's place is going to be closed for 2 or 3 years. They're doing renovations on the stadium, and it's causing both the stadium and Daly's place to be closed. And I guess it's to the point where like the Jaguars in 2027 are going to have to play in Orlando for a year.
Oh. We're going to have a fucking epic Dynamite homecoming in 3 years, though.
Hopefully. Although, I mean, there are they do have like an actual arena in Jacksonville. Because like remember when AEW had their that press conference thing where they announced AEW was a thing and had the Young Bucks and Jericho and all that. SmackDown was in Jacksonville that night because they made people who showed up in AEW shirts take them off or turn them inside out or something. So there is an arena in Jacksonville that they could go to, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they never tried or what the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena.
I'll
I
take
think the
your
old
word for that.
I think the where's the Coliseum still exists.
So yeah, where WCW held a number of shows back in the day, including I think Wrestle War '92. I should know that since I recently watched that. Well, recently.
The Jacksonville Coliseum was in fact demolished in 2003. But yeah, so there was the Jacksonville Veterans Memorial Coliseum, and it was torn down, and then they built the Jacksonville Veterans Memorial Arena, which is now the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. I don't know if
that you knew all that. Like you just knew that that's what the arena in Jacksonville's called.
Yes, I did.
Oh, I believe you. By the way, apparently Greed was held there too. The final WCW pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh Lord. Yeah, I'm looking at the results from that from the Greed pay-per-view. That was when Totally Buff you know, in a normal world, Totally Buff would have never had a job in wrestling ever again. And then Bagwell was given another chance. But then Luger was brought into TNA, which shows that, things will never, ever change, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was, wow. Some of these matches, like this was definitely a Eric Bischoff WCW show. Because, like, you'll have an undercard with, like, what looks like some pretty good matches. And then you have, like, other matches on the show. Like, you have Jason Jett versus the Kiwi, Elix Skipper and Kid Romeo versus Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio Jr., Lance Storm and Mike Awesome versus Hugh Morris and Conan, Sugar Shane Helms versus Chavo Guerrero. And then you also have Sean Stasiak versus Bam Bam Bigelow and Ernest the Cat Miller versus Canyon. And this is not anything against Canyon, especially, but like that match went almost 11 minutes.
Yeah, that wasn't Canyon after Mrs. Jones.
Yes, and now mind you, just Miss Jones.
Miss Jones, okay.
Yes. Who I thought for a second had her own Wikipedia page because she had a blue hyperlink, but that just led us to the Nitro Girls.
Oh, which Nitro Girl was Miss Jones?
That was something. Chameleon.
Oh.
Yeah, she was one of those end of the day Nitro Girls that never were on television. Like that was when Stacy Keibler was in the Nitro Girls and shit like that. Apparently there was a Nitro Girl named Naughty A.
Naughty A, you say?
Naughty A, yes. Star was apparently a Nitro Girl. Things you learn by looking at the Wikipedia page of the Nitro Girls. They had Gold and Silver, who were a pair of twins with a last name that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. They're apparently Coors Light twins in 2002. Chiquita, which was one of the Nitro Girls that formed the pop music group Diversity 5 after the show ended. Or after the show. Yeah, well, after Nitro ended. Yeah. Yeah, the Nitro Girls after Kimberly and Spice and all that, you know, who gave a shit, right?
Yeah, hard to argue with that.
Although the only time I ever found Charmel like really attractive was when she was in a purple pleather bodysuit with the artist formerly known as Prince Ayakea.
I love that
And,
gimmick, but also I didn't know anything about Prince. I just thought that that was a cool gimmick and had cool music.
it, it definitely did, you know. Okay. Anything else we want to talk about this week?
Well, I guess this will be it until after Christmas, huh?
Yep, we're only doing one show this week, unless we want to sneak in a Friday night spot show this week. But you know, if you do, let me know. We'll figure out what the hell to watch. But
I have to drive to Arkansas on Wednesday and then drive back Friday. So
that sucks.
I don't think I'm gonna be up for a spot show this week.
That sucks. No one should ever have to go to Arkansas.
You know,
Yeah.
it's okay. I've been to Arkansas before.
Well, you live there, so yeah. Um, it's funny because I was planning on because, like as I mentioned, Night of the Legends is fucking 4.5 hours long. So my plan was to start watching some of it over the weekend, just to like knock off some of that 4.5 hours. And I haven't watched any of it yet. I know I still have 2 weeks, but I figured, try to get some of it out of the way.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
Everything is gonna be all right. Rockabye. I guess when I started singing that it's time to wrap up the show. All right, we've gone about 96 minutes, which is more than enough. By the way, last week's Smoky Mountain was one of those weird episodes that people actually listened to.
Oh, random.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes zero sense, people. You know. But
I'll never understand it.
my thought is that picture because I screenshotted Tammy is bald and put our logo in the corner, so that might be why
Oh,
people clicked on it.
okay, yeah, probably.
But that's gonna do it for this week's show. Hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.